Guys, I want to get loud all of a sudden.
Do it.
Sorry, I'm going to...
It's you. I knew it was coming.
I'm sorry, guys,
Can't
but I
hold 'em
need
back.
to do that.
It is. You feel like Poseidon chucking that bugger down in the water.
Chucking that bugger. Did you butt out that deer?
I did not butt out that deer, but the next one I get,
Okay.
it's getting its butt out.
Is that little Stevie out here in the back?
Drobop. Bow drop, I'm sorry. Drobop. Hello. Stay tuned. I'll be back after my seizure.
Every little chipmunk that was running around, everything's dead quiet, and I went like that just happened.
I saw what is in essence a nature-gasm. Thanks for joining us around the Sonic Campfire. You're listening to the Rotten River Pursuits podcast. I'm Will.
I'm Uncle Buck.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
Hey, I'm Uncle Catfish.
I'm Steve.
We have an epic show. I think it's going to be the fight of our lives.
Yeah.
You don't say. Or you did say, actually.
I did say that.
you
But so anyway, we have a man who is a Guinness Book World Record holder.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What was it for?
He drank
Lime juice.
lemon juice.
Lemon
Yeah.
juice. A
Yeah,
gallon
It was
of
like
it?
a liter of lemon juice in 20-something seconds through a straw.
2 seconds faster.
It was
Almost
fast.
2 seconds faster than the previous record holder.
Get out.
Yeah.
But that's not all he's known for.
No,
Not
no, no.
even near what he's known for.
He's a UFC featherweight, and he's currently ranked number 11.
A world-class wrestler.
A world-class wrestler.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he likes to do a little fishing. We'll
Just
get to
a
that.
little.
Montauk style.
We're talking about New York's golden boy, Dennis the Menace Bermudez. Dennis, how's it going?
I'm good.
Good. What are you up to today?
I don't want you guys to think I'm some kind of Nancy, but I just finished up a little hot yoga.
Yeah.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure what it is that makes it hot as far as what you just described there with the hot yoga, but I would not think of anyone as a Nancy that just got done doing yoga. With the limited exposure I've had
Yeah.
to yoga, that stuff hurts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the very first time I went, they were like, just if it gets hard, just stay in the room. I'm like, dude, you don't know what I do. Like, I cut my balls off to make weight by sitting in saunas all day, 200 degrees. I fight like grown men that are trying to hurt me really bad. And dude, I was like, damn. After I finished my first session, I was like, okay, I get where she's coming from. I mean, I had no chance without leaving the room, but I was like, all right, this is tough.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's new for you, Den? What are you working towards? You got a fight lined up?
Nothing lined up yet. Just getting ready to be ready and just trying to get better, try to improve on some of my weaknesses and just general life things as well, just trying to get better as an individual in all aspects.
Yeah. Dennis is kind of known for like being a bull in the ring. I mean, some of the best fights I personally witnessed, come out of this guy. He'll take the guy's best punch and just keep rolling. Nice. And I don't know, that's probably something you're trying to get away from.
I tell you what, my last couple of fights, like, I took the guy's best shot and, they call the fight. I'm like, really? That's what we're going to do right now? Have you watched any of my previous fights where I've gotten dropped dead and come up and win the fight?
Yeah.
Let me fight, dude.
Do you think that's because of concussions are such a issue now? I don't want to use the word political correct, but it's like a hyper
It's a hot button
focus
topic.
hot button topic.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm not like trying to get mad at the ref. I shouldn't have got hit. Boom, boom, and the ref's just doing his best job to keep us safe in there.
Yeah.
I mean, do the fans want to see a fight to the death? Of course. If they could have it their way, like, yes, someone will die.
No,
but the ref's job to make sure that we're, the rest of our lives going to be all right, you know.
I want to always see a great fight and see it. Every guy that ever gets into a ring or fights, wrestles, whatever, leave it out there. The fans will never ever go away not satisfied. But I never want to see anybody hurt because you won't fight another day. Then
Long-term hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to see a guy get concussed.
Feelings hurt.
No, feelings good. You can hurt feelings all you want. I mean,
Gotcha.
So, Dennis, can you give us a brief rundown of your fight history? How you got started? How long you've been doing it? What your background is? Those sort of things.
Well, I'm from upstate New York, Saugerties, New York. I grew up, playing football, wrestling. I ran track and field. I played soccer, and I really fell in love with wrestling. It's a one-on-one sport where when you win, it's because of you. When you lose, it's because of you. There's no. When I would win a football game, it's like, yeah, awesome, but like I'm not the only reason why we won. Or if we lost, like, well, it's not my fault we lost. So I really fell in love with wrestling, and I pursued it into college. So when people ask me nowadays, what I go to school for, if I'm being honest, it's to wrestle. I didn't, I wasn't.
And wasn't that around here somewhere? Like around where we're at?
I wrestled at Bloomsburg University.
I heard you were a Pennsylvania wrestler.
Yeah, it's such a. So I have two little boys now, and being the wrestler I was, people know me like, hey, are your kids gonna wrestle? I'm like, man, to be honest with you, I don't wish that upon anybody. It definitely makes you into a man, and teaches you a lot of things about life and discipline and sacrifice. And I think anybody who's a good wrestler is gonna figure out life,
Yeah, you'll get through it at least.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully the day comes when my boy's like, Dad, I want to wrestle. I'm like, and I'm gonna give him two options. Option one, do you want to wrestle for fun? Or option two, do you want to wrestle and be good at it? Because those are two.
Wait, yeah.
I mean, they can be interchangeable.
Yeah.
Because winning's fun, But there is like this awful part of it, That I don't know. I was a sicko when I was younger. I'm trying to get that guy back in me now. I just might be smarter, But there was I had this desire to win, man. I would wake up at 6:00 in the morning as a 14, 15-year-old, and I'd run 2 miles to school with my snowsuit on, snow boots on, and my snow jacket, my snow hat. And I'd get to the school, and I'd either drill wrestling or work out, and then I'd go to school all day. I would go to wrestling practice. After wrestling practice, I would drive an hour north up to Albany, and I'd go wrestle at a wrestling club. Couldn't get enough of it, and I just... The more you did, the better you got. It just and unlike jobs today, where I worked at UPS for a little bit, and I'll retouch on this a little bit, where the more I did, it didn't matter. The guy who's been working there longer than me got the promotion over me, even though I did more than him. I'm like, that didn't make sense to me. And that's the one thing I loved about wrestling. The more you did, the more you got out of it, So like I was saying, I went on and wrestled Division I at Bloomsburg University. I was ranked 22nd in the nation at 149. I was a freestyle All-American. And then I ended up dropping out of college my senior year. You guys will like this one. I found out. Well, a girl got pregnant. It was mine. Ooh. Then 2 years later, I found out it wasn't mine.
Oh no!
And that's when I started fighting.
I don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get beat.
Wow.
But I mean, it wasn't. I mean, while I was raising that kid and stuff like that, people would ask me, because MMA had blown up in that 2-year span, and my build and the way I wrestled, people would ask me like, "Hey man, why don't you wrestle? Or why don't you fight?" I'm like, yeah, I would, but I just don't have the time, and my time was being consumed by this 1.5, 2-year-old, and then when I found out, well, the kid wasn't mine, it's almost like I made like a little like I talked, but nobody was holding me accountable for it because I was like, if I fought, I'd be nasty at it, And so when I got this time freed up, I'm like, hey, Dennis, you fought, you'd be good at it, But no one was like, hey, you said this, you should fight. And so I was like, with myself, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go, talk is cheap.
Yeah. I'm glad you decided to go through with it.
Yeah.
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 And
I had like edge. I had this like little chip on my shoulder. Because, like, when I was wrestling, and I'm sure some of you guys that wrestled can contest this, like, when you're wrestling and stuff like that, and you're training hard, some nerd, like, hey, you're a pussy, like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm just going to roll that off because I know what I would do to you, and it's not good, and it's not going to do either of us a favor. And you can just shake it off because and you're doing it every day, and you're testing yourself every day. And then, I went through that little period where I wasn't wrestling and I wasn't fighting. I was playing a little like semi-pro football, like 8-on-8 full pads, but that wasn't cutting it. Some dude at the bar would be looking at me crooked. I'm like, what are you looking at, dude? You trying to get beat up? Like, and then it wasn't until I got back into fight, like once I got training and fighting, that all went away again, and I was young. I was 22. I don't know.
Dennis, that brings up my question growing up, first of all, how old are you now?
30.
30. And growing up in high school, I take it, did you go to high school in Pennsylvania?
No, I went to high school in New York, and then I went to college in Pennsylvania.
Was there many school fights in your school? Is there any time in your life where you had to back things up whenever you were a kid?
Well, so here's that's funny you say that, because a lot of guys like, yeah, he was badass, he fought a lot. It's like, nah, dude, no, he's not. A lot of people fight because they're like nervous or they're like they have like low self-esteem. I tell people now, like, people are like, oh man, I would love to fight you. Like, you're a UFC fighter. I'm like, dude, I do not fight for free. I'm not.
It hurts.
No, not. I mean, if I were to street fight, it wouldn't hurt to be a few hits and that's it. And all right,
Yeah, but you know how to fight. A dude street fighting doesn't know how to fight.
I'm just asking because where I grew up, our school there was a mentality that if you got into a couple fights, whether you defended yourself or not, then you were a marker for somebody to want to fight you. And unfortunately, once you defended yourself and won once, you had to defend yourself all the time until you got to some kind of hierarchy where you were accepted by, okay, just don't mess with him. And I have a handful of names of my school that I remember that guys just didn't mess with because they won enough school fights. And unfortunately, my school was like that.
Stevie Miser.
You walk down the hall and people would fight you just to make a better name for themselves.
So to answer your question, I mean, I was, the best wrestler in my school. So people they weren't trying to get double-legged and beat up. You know what I mean? Like, just not, But I mean, there wasn't there was a cop in our school. And I don't know about, when you were growing up, stuff that, like, if you fought, like, you were getting taken out of the school in handcuffs.
Yeah, it wasn't like that when I went to school. You got slapped on the wrist and you got detention tonight.
Yeah. I remember my father tell me about when he went to high school, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know, man. Those are better times, I think. I don't know. Like, it's crazy that I do what I do, in terms of, like, I'm a fighter, which is, like, pretty much almost like a conflict, but I'm the most non-confrontational person you'll ever meet.
Well, that's goes a lot to do with, I think, wrestling training, because it teaches you, like you said earlier, I don't have to. When you're taught, jiu-jitsu, karate, whatever wrestling, whatever the case may be, you don't have to use it if you don't need it. I mean, words can't actually hurt you when somebody's screaming and yelling at you. Pride gets you into a lot of more fights than you need to. But if you can win, then why do anything about it?
And you also have an organized focus that you can have as an outlet.
Well, when you have achieved a certain level in wrestling, when you have maybe like a state ranking or whatever, there's a very small percentage. It's a small group of people, and that means you beat a very large percentage already of the, so that
You
comes,
got nothing left to prove.
that comes with a confidence that you just, you can't even describe. And that transfers over to life. You get to be, like, you got to be the best guy in the room. Then you got to be the best guy in your district and the best guy in your state. And, in regular life, that happens too. Like, you want to be the best person in, in your department or whatever.
Yeah.
But that being said, Bud, give us that 50,000-foot view of just your UFC career. And then after that, let's start talking about fishing.
Oh, fishing, huh?
Yeah.
So I started fighting, and at the time I was working at UPS. And I was living with my mother and my grandmother in Millersburg, Pennsylvania. I just found out that the kid wasn't mine, and I got, kind of talked into taking on an amateur fight without any training. So I signed up for the fight, and it was at the end of the month, so I had a month to train for my first fight.
This was with just a wrestling background.
Yeah.
Or
the very
not
first
just a wrestling background, but your background was strictly wrestling at that point, right?
Yeah. So the very first time I stepped into an MMA gym, I was better than 90% of the kids in there.
I believe it.
Strictly off of just high level wrestling.
Yeah.
So I did all my amateur fights in Virginia because they fought amateur with pro rules.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any of that those sissy fights with shit tats on and stuff like that, in Pennsylvania. I wanted to drive. This sounds crazy to me when I think of it now. It's because, like I was telling you guys before, I only fight if I get paid. I used to drive from Pennsylvania down to Virginia, get a hotel room, buy food, pay for gas, pay for like a license to fight there, and then I would fight for free.
Wow.
I did that 4 times, and then I went pro. So I fought 9 times my first year of MMA.
It sounds a lot like what I do, taking people guided fishing. Not technically a guide, but I spend a lot of money to take people to all my secret fishing spots.
Yeah.
that
So
I've spent so long to find.
Nice.
I had 4 fights. I knocked out the first guy, rear naked choke the second guy, decision the third guy. He was pretty tough. And then I TKO'd the last guy. Then I went pro, and I TKO'd that guy, TKO'd the next guy. And I had probably I was 6-0, and then I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter, the 155 pounds. What was that? Season 12. And I made it past the first step, and they flew me out to Vegas. I had interviews and stuff like that all day. I didn't get the last call to be on the show. I went, back. I fought a few more fights, and then they had Ultimate Fighter for 145. This is the first time they had ever done 145, and all my fights previously were at 155. So I was 7-2 at 155, and then I lost my last fight, and someone was like, "Why'd you try 145?" I was like, "All right." So I tried 145. I got on the show. I beat Jimmy Rivera. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's like the number 3-pound bantamweight now. We had a barn burner. So I beat him to get into the house, did the Ultimate Fighter, made it to the finals, and then I lost to Diego Brandao. Then I went on a 7-fight win streak. Then we had some bumps lately here at the higher echelon of 145. But we're just trying to, like when I was talking to you guys before, man, I'm just trying to get better at every aspect of life, trying to get stronger, faster. And one thing also with age, I'm just trying to get smarter too, just be more open-minded, So like hot yoga isn't like, I don't know, it's not like lifting weights or like wrestling somebody, but it's like hard in a different way,
Yeah.
Is there somebody that sticks out in your mind right now that I don't want to say that you have your sights on, but somebody that you've always wanted to fight?
I would have liked to fight BJ Penn.
Really?
When I was fighting it professionally, but at a lower level, I used to get myself pumped up and like get myself ready to rock and roll. I would imagine that I was warming up to fight BJ Penn.
Wow.
That would have been a good fight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's no joke there.
Yeah. So you're currently ranked number 11th.
Yep.
How many fight of the nights?
I think I acquired like 5 bonuses. I got submission of the season. I got fight of the night in the finale. I got performance of the night against Clay Guida and against Jimmy Hedis. I got fight of the night against Matt Grice, and then I got submission of the night against Tommy Hayden.
That's a big field too. There's a lot of fighters in that weight class, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's bittersweet. I mean, it's awesome getting those bonuses, you know. But now every time I fight, people are like, "You gonna get that bonus?" It's like, dude, shit. Every time.
One's hard enough. Yeah.
But they put the bonus in your head. You're like, man, if I had that $50,000, like, here's what I would do with it. You start playing with money that's not even there yet, you know. And then you're like, maybe I should go out there and maybe slug it out with this guy, you know.
What was the what was the match where you went on that takedown spree? It was like that's like a tied a UFC record or was a UFC record.
The guy that I was fighting, Jimmy Hedis, I think had the record by maybe like 1. So I took him down like, I don't know,
13
times or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was double digits. I can't.
It might have been. I forget. Like,
it was ridiculous.
Knock him down. He would try to stay down, come to get back up. He's actually a Pennsylvania boy.
I've seen wrestlers just demoralized.
Yeah.
Because of that very thing.
Judo guy. I'm gonna throw him. Like, good luck, buddy.
It's epic. We know that this fighting is in your blood and part of your passion. We know that you're great at it. But one thing I think people don't know is that you have a love for fishing.
Yeah, I've been known to throw the rod around a little bit.
I bet. How's so? Tell us a little bit. How'd you get started fishing?
So, you know, again, like I was saying, being from upstate New York, I live like a quarter mile from the Hudson River, you know, and my next door neighbors were 100%, they're Native Americans. Like, go to powwows, like, make bone arrows, and they're badass, you know? And they're also the ones that got me to wrestle, but they also got me to fish and stuff like that, you know? And they were like, I don't like fish. I actually ate some striped bass last week that I caught, and it's pretty good. I just don't like fishy fish.
Yeah.
You know, and but yeah, I don't know. I just like being around my neighbor. He's 7 years older than me, and he could do like the most insane things. You know, like rock climb. I'm like, when did you learn how to rock climb? I was like, I don't know. I just bought the stuff. And he's like a superhero in my eyes. You know, so anything he did, I'm like, yeah. So you know, I'd gone fishing with him a few times, using his lures, his rods. He showed me how with my younger brother, and you know, we'd be fishing, and me personally, he'd be fishing for specific things like, you know, big bass or trout, whatever. But people are like, what are you guys fishing for? I'm like, whatever's biting. I don't care, you know. I
fish like that right now. That's how I do.
I would just try to get as many fish as I could on the line. You know, that's fun to me, you know. But you know, at a young age, you know, in high school, I spent hundreds of dollars on lures, you know. So I grew up coming from like, you know, money I got buying action figures to like the money I got buying lures and stuff like that, you know. So sometimes I'd lose a lure, you know, $5-6 lure on a rock. I'd be like, no, like I'm going in after it.
That's what you do.
Yeah, Catfish calls that Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So I grew up, you know, fishing the Hudson River. We would fish in some of the canals for bass, and then we would catch the striper bass when they would run to go spawn and stuff like that. And then my Native American buddy, his name's Spencer Christian, he would take me way up north. I'm drawing a blank of what it was called, and we would do salmon runs where you put on the suspenders and you go out there and wait a little bit, but I don't know if you guys have ever been up there or done that.
Like Pulaski and
Pulaski is exactly where I used to go. Yes, that's it. You've ever done it?
I'm south of there, over towards Buffalo.
Dude, so much
crazy,
fun.
Right?
Like, so I was used to like small So the first time I went fishing up in Pulaski for salmon, I was used to, catching bass where like if I just reel it in, it's coming in. It's not, there was no drag or anything like that. My pole was kind of strong. So I remember getting a salmon on, like downstream, and I'm just standing there in the one spot, like feeling, and my spool's going out. My neighbor's like, "What are you doing, you idiot? Like, go get it!" And he's like, "Head," because it was so tight with everybody fishing that that stream that my line almost took off like 10 people's heads, And I'm like, what? And I'm like really, even though my spool's going out, I'm like going down like this stream and shit like that. And it was, man, awesome time, man. I think I ended up catching like a 34-pound salmon.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Its lips were starting to hook and stuff like that. I was like, this thing is a beast.
Did you get into any like brown trout?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
We went up there just for the salmon run and
yeah.
But I'm told that the water that breaks out into that Great Lake up there has some huge steelhead, right?
Yeah.
Is there a reservoir up there, or there's a big lake?
All that stuff kind of feeds into Lake Ontario. Stuff like so. But we go to the Burt Dam during that time when the salmon are coming up in. The browns and the steelhead will follow the salmon up in, and as they're spawning, they'll just gorge on salmon eggs. And so they're just these massive trout that you've never, like the smallest trout that you catch up there is the biggest trout you've ever seen here.
Yeah.
It's just, it's crazy.
My trout story is one of my buddies in high school, his father owned a construction company. So they dug not a huge pond, but I don't know, probably like a 100-foot pond by like 60-foot pond, and it was like probably like 14 feet deep.
It's a decent pond.
Hang on. Hear me out. They stocked it with trout, and I'm like, trout need running water.
Yeah.
He set it up so the water coming down, because they lived on top of this mountain, the water coming down from the mountain ran through their pond. I'm like, this is ingenious. Dude, so it was just him and like their family friends fishing this pond.
Wow.
We were using like number 3 spinners, and these trout were hammering our I thought I was fishing for bass.
No kidding.
These trout were like 22 inches. They were humongous.
Wow.
Yeah. Monster.
Wow.
Like their lips were starting to hook and everything. I was like, Jesus.
That's such a cool look, during the spawning time there when their mouth does that.
Yep. So
that kind of got you rolling, that experience, early on.
So my parents were divorced. So my mom lived in Millersburg, Pennsylvania, right less than a quarter mile from the Susquehanna River. And the Susquehanna River in Millersburg, there's a ferry, and it's fairly shallow. So me and my younger brother, during the summer, while we were visiting my mom, we had, our hundreds of dollars of lures and our little, we put on our vests. Just bring, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 lures, and we would go out and we'd fish off those islands.
Those islands. Yeah.
And we would just crush smallmouth.
That's what we did this summer. And
yeah, exact same spot.
Yeah. Well, we were on the other side.
Yeah, man. There's some. I remember me and my younger brother just crushed. I've always done catch and release for the most part, unless someone was like, "Hey, you're going fishing? Like, what are you fishing for?" And I'd tell them, and they'd be like, "Bring me back some." That's the only time I would catch and bring back with me,
Yeah.
But otherwise, just catch and release.
But wet wading in the river is just phenomenal, and
absolutely.
Did you get into any catfish?
Catfish are just they're a fight, man.
Oh yeah, they're my favorite thing to catch. Even a small channel cat will fight. You think it's 5 times bigger than what it is when you get into the kayak.
Yeah, never. But I've had very little I would catch a few catfish because while we would be waiting for a striper bass, we would catch herring first. We would cut the heads off of the herring at an angle, so it would almost like look like it was swimming a little bit and injured, And while we were waiting for a striper bass to hit, while we're sitting, on the Hudson River, we would every once in a while just make a catfish, put some chicken liver on and whatever, and just let it just sit at the bottom. And something to do while we're waiting for the striper to get on,
Sure, absolutely.
So from the Susquehanna and your time there, wet waiting and such, you kind of headed for some deeper water after that, huh?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess life kind of hit hard like after high school. I kind of had to like do college and wrestle. So I don't know. I don't know where all my lures went, stuff like that, and I don't even know my pole went. And I got away from fishing for a while. Just if someone was like, "Hey, you want? I got a couple, rods and reels. You want to, come fishing?" Yeah, sure, here and there. And then I moved here to Long Island, and I met some people that got boats that want to fish, So there's a buddy of mine that I had met because I was working at this gym. His father owns a car dealership, so they do pretty well. He's got, I don't know, like a 32-foot intruder or something like that with 250s on the back.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And we went out. He's like, let's go out fishing. Whenever we're going, he's like, you want to catch bass or you want to catch shark? And me, I'm like, sharks. No, dude. And so I fell in love with it, man. The chumming, the slick, all of it, and then he had me cutting up. What are they? Like a bait fish, but we call them fish chips. And I would, put those out there while I'm waiting for a shark to hit. And we put a balloon on our line, put it out a ways, and, just kind of wait and sit in the drifts until we get a shark on. I caught probably like 100-pound mako once. And then my last time I went shark fishing, I probably had on like a 400-pound thresher.
Whoa.
My buddy almost like pretty much fed it at the boat, and this thing like took off. He gave me the reel. I'm like, all right. This thing took off, and he's like, "Dennis, you need a hand?" And like, I'm reeling for like 10 minutes, whatever, fighting this thing. He's like, "You need a hand?" I'm like, "Dude, shut up! Like, I got this." And like from there, I'm like, "Dude, you're on this rod and reel until you bring this fish in."
Yeah.
And so 2 hours later passed by, and I'm struck. Now I have this thresher to the boat, and every time it would get pretty close to the boat, it would shoot towards the back of the boat. And it was just my buddy who was being a captain, his lady, and like his cousin, so we didn't really have like a first mate on there. And so every time I get the thresher close to the boat, it would swim to the back of the boat, and my buddy would have to turn the boat a little bit. Then there was a sailboat coming, and my buddy got on the CB, was like, "Hey guys, we got a big fish on, like, veer away. We got a big fish on, veer away."
Beat it.
And it kept, the sailboat kind of kept coming, and my buddy kind of lost track of like where the shark was and where, because he got focused on this boat. The thresher ended up going past the motor and breaking the line. I was like, oh.
That sucks.
Those are some awesome looking sharks.
I've never caught a thresher. That's the one with the really long tail, correct?
Yeah,
Just so I'm not confused.
Yeah.
They get pretty big over here. So I just met this guy through our gym. He just is a huge MMA fan, and he owns his own company called Long Island Elite Outfitters, where they do everything from chartering to tower shoots to pheasant hunting, whatever. He does it all. Duck hunting. I went out with him. He said the biggest thresher, he said, the width of the boat was probably like 9 feet. And he saw the head on one end and looked at the other end of the boat, and its tail was over the top of the boat. Oh. He was like, holy Nikes. Right. I'm that bad boy. So my goal is to catch a shark that weighs equal or more to me. So I caught that 100-pound Mako. I had the Thresher. My buddy's trying to say, like, that counts. But I'm like, dude, no, it doesn't, dude. That thing got away. Like, for me to count, I need to touch that thing.
Yeah.
Who fights harder, the Thrasher Shark or Clay Guida?
Dude, Thrasher Shark by far. Dude, the thing is, so I had my thighs like leaning against the pad of the boat, kind of like as leverage, you know. And every time the shark would swim towards the engine, I had to turn where my thighs had nothing to push off of, and just fight this with just I had the where the pole goes into like your hip.
Yeah.
And it was just that like. Dude, intense. Yeah. Intense.
That's
and my
awesome.
buddy, like, whenever we get like a shark near the boat, he starts getting like almost like a little like freaked out a little bit. Like he likes it, but he gets like, all right, guys, like, let's be safe. I'm like, dude, shut up.
Wait a minute. What is safe about shark fishing in general?
Right, because that happens. You guys hear that a lot, where sharks get on board or near the boat and people get bit or whipped or whatever,
Especially a Thresher, can't that tail break bone? Like
I'm sure
a Thresher shark's tail probably could beat you up pretty good. I'm sure it'd break your ribs.
Oh, for sure, dude. Because that's what they do, man. They swim through fish and just start wailing their tails around. They stun them and they go back and eat them.
I can totally see Dennis showing up in the gym with like a rib wrap and the trainer going, "Man, who beat your ass?" He's like, "A Thresher shark got me in the chest."
A shark.
Shark whoop up.
But dude, the thing is I'm about stories. I'm about like if you're like, Dennis, what'd you fish for? Trout or shark? I'm going shark every time, because it's like when you tell the story, it's more badass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because a shark could possibly eat you. A trout can't.
I so agree with you, because I've been trying to explain this to Sean Holsinger for years.
I'll send you a picture of my brown trout. I thought it was going to eat me.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, man. There's
two kinds of guys in life. There's Dennis. I'm like Dennis. I like the biggest fish I can get off
predators.
a kayak, so that I can't have my feet on the ground to reel it in. And then there are look at this beautiful rainbow trout that fits in the palm of my hand that's native. Look at the beautiful coloration on it. Yeah. It weighs 4.5 ounces. It is like I have a $3,000 rod. It's 12 feet long to catch it, and I'm going. Yeah, no,
that's some pretty sweet looking bait.
Love you, Sean Holsinger. You're a great dude, but I'm with Dennis on this one the whole way. If it could bite my leg, it's on.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been spearfishing?
No, that's something that's on the short list of top couple things I can do.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Highly recommended, man. Because the very first time I went spearfishing, it was bad. I went out at Montauk, and I had gone with my jiu-jitsu coach's cousins, who are like these like champion, like they bring up like 50-pound striper bass, like on the regular, and we were using Hawaiian slings. So before we go out, we brought some wetsuits. I'm borrowing my buddy's wetsuit. We go to like the store, because some of us didn't have fins, some of us didn't have snorkels, and I like the boogie board a little bit. I like to consider myself a semi-professional boogie board. So I saw these fins. I'm like, oh, I could use these today for spearfishing, and then I could double use them later on when I go like boogie boarding and stuff like that, So these fins were like, I don't know, like 8 inches or something like that. So we get to the beach, and like everybody else has like 3.5 foot fins. I'm like, whatever. And because I wasn't trying to spend a lot of money, because I don't know how many times I'm going to do this. I'm like, do I need a snorkel? And his cousin's like, nah, you don't need a snorkel. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go out probably like a quarter mile.
Can you breathe
in
through the back
Montauk,
of your
right?
head?
What's up?
Dorsal fin?
It's like, no, I don't. You don't need a snorkel as long as you can breathe through the back of your head. You're good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think they're lying to you, Dennis.
And I'm near my jiu-jitsu coach, and I'm like, dude, I'm struggling like pretty badly out here, because I'm having to kick like a mother lover.
Well, Montauk's not like real calm, right? Montauk's not really known for being calm water, is it?
Oh, there's no bay blocking it.
Yeah.
The Fire Island isn't there. So I'm like, I'm kicking pretty hard, but I consider myself a good swimmer. However, I do not float.
Right. Solid muscle.
So
Yeah.
we're out there a ways, and like some things are going through my head. Like the movie Jaws was shot out here, and like sharks, and like you never see a shark coming at you when they attack you. So now I'm like in my own head. I'm like, oh shit, I'm like, the shore was so far away. Like I didn't want to go by myself, and you can't see very good in these waters. These waters are, I don't know, like you can maybe see like 10 feet, and then that's it, So and we didn't see anything, like so. I'm like, yo, Greg, like I'm in a bad way, dude. Like let me use your snorkel because when I'm flat looking down, I can breathe. I can like kind of relax a little bit. But when I can't. When I need air, I have to be up and I kick like a madman, So I was like, Greg, like help! Like I'm gonna drown soon because I'm getting super tired. So he gives me the snorkel. I go back and I just drank a bunch of beers. So that was the first time I went snorkeling. I'm like, or spearfishing. I'm like, this is stupid. The second time I went spearfishing, I went with my younger brother in Key West. Super clear water.
That's a big difference. There.
Oh,
Yeah, I won't go on that one.
Yeah, it was awesome. He had given me some like pins here. Now I didn't have a Hawaiian sling. I had a gun. And
there we go.
Yeah, I'm feeling good now. However, I don't know how to do like the ear, like letting out the air so you can go so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
So, like, if I
that's
get,
a
like,
horrible
25
experience.
Yeah, I get like 25 feet and like my head feels like it's gonna explode.
It will, too. It did it to me. That's why I can't hear out of my right ear.
Is that right?
Yeah, it blew out whenever we were in – it wasn't in Roatan. It was in the Grand Turk, I believe, back in 2012. I was 40 feet underwater and my eardrum blew out.
Damn.
It's a horrible experience. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm seeing barracuda. And I'm like, this goes back to like I want to get the most badass fish, So Jay and his buddy are fishing for hogfish because they're, I guess, good eating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I want to shoot the barracuda because they're badass and they can hurt me really badly. I'm shooting like the average size ones, but I'm seeing like 5-6 footers, and these things are like, they don't really care about you. Like they're not intimidated by you at all. They're just kind of doing their own thing, And I quickly learned that barracuda have pretty thick scales because I shot one from pretty far, pretty far away, and like it like I'm like I definitely hit it. I saw the scales fall and it didn't go through. So I'm like, this is weird. Maybe I guess I didn't shoot in the right spot, whatever. So I'll go back up. My brother puts my spear back on. Go down. I shoot a barracuda. And it's swimming like crazy. I'm like, ah! So I just started swimming towards the boat with the gun. And I'm like, here! Because now the barracuda is like kind of swimming at me.
He just made it mad.
Like,
Yeah.
With the
not
spear in it.
like against my line. Like it's like there's slack between me and the fish, and I do like that. So I give the gun to Jay's buddy who's on the boat.
It's like a barracuda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one thing worse than getting attacked by a barracuda.
What's
and that's
that?
getting attacked by a barracuda that you just shot with a spear gun.
I give Jay's buddy the gun, and I swim the opposite direction of the barracuda, and I watch from a distance. They like bring the fish on, and they had a little bat on deck that you use to stun the fish.
Yeah.
He hits it a third time, and he accidentally hit it off the spear. This thing hit the water and darted off. I'm like, are you kidding me?
After being speared and clubbed 3 times, it swam away.
Yeah. So I'm like, damn.
Jeez.
And he's still looking for you.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So,
They're a tiny bit tougher than a muskie.
so
There
we
you go.
reline up the spear gun. I'm back in the water, and my little brother now. So I'm like kind of like looking for barracuda. My little brother's like pointing to like the bigger ones. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I'm going for like the biggest barracuda now. These guys are like 5-6 foot.
Whoa.
They're huge. Like you could see their teeth from how far away I was. So I shoot it and like bounces off and like they take off and whatever. So I ended up not getting another barracuda, and I get on the boat and I'm talking to Jay's buddy, who's a really good spear fisherman. He's like very knowledgeable. He knows his stuff, you know. And I was like, "Yo, dude, what?" Like, I shot one of the barracudas and like deflected off. And he's like, "Why are you shooting barracuda?" I'm like, "I don't know. Jay told me to do it." He was like, "Dude, there's like a lot of reports of people shooting barracuda and then the barracuda attacking them."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Jay, you dick! Like, what the heck?" And he started laughing. I'm like, "Dude, what the heck, dude?"
They just stop dead in the water and turn back and look and go, "Did you just do that? Really?"
Yeah.
Yeah, they look at you and like grab their,
You're
check
done.
themselves for blood, and they're like, like Bruce Lee would do. And then
So fast.
Yeah.
They're so fast.
Yeah,
I mean, my younger brother was spearfishing and had told me about, he had an encounter with a bull shark once, like where they saw the bull shark and they just like hell for high water, just they all booked it to the boat, and thank God everybody was fine. And then these psychopaths waited like a half hour and then got back in. I'm like, really? I think I would have called it a day. That's just me.
is that the time where you got into the mahi?
I got into mahi when I caught the mako out in Montauk.
Oh, really? I thought
Yeah.
that was down south too. Oh my.
Oh, I did. I actually, I have the, I tied, at least when I did it, I tied the state record for the biggest Cerro mackerel in Florida.
Really?
Yeah, my little brother he had a duty, and so he put me on a charter with his CO, who like does his own little thing, So I'm out there, and we're it was really fun because we were fishing for one fish, and then like when we were chumming, and like before you know it, the fish just kept getting bigger and bigger the longer we chummed and the longer we were out there, where we were after Cerro mackerel, and hooked up with one, reeled it in. And like his CO was like, "Dude, this thing is huge." And like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. And he's like, "Dude, there's a tournament going on right now. You should definitely put this in, dude. I think you'll definitely win." I'm like, all right, cool. So I caught a 14-pounder, and then another chick that was on there caught a 12-pounder. We put him in. We won first and second place. And my little brother was like, "Are you kidding me? You go out fishing one time. You don't know what you're fishing for. And you win. You win. That's what you." And I'm like, "Jay." And there was like a ceremony that I couldn't make it. I'm like, "Jay, you better go to the ceremony and collect my award and mail it to me."
That's great.
That's cool.
He was like, "Screw you."
Typical brother.
Like, "Jay, do as you're told."
That's awesome.
But and then just this past weekend, me, Ryan LaFleur, who's a welterweight in the UFC, he's a top 15 guy, and my lady, we went out striper bass fishing, and they're hammering out there right now in Montauk, man.
Yeah.
Well, at first we were using like kind of we had lures on the end, and we were just kind of doing like a sweeping action, And I caught the first fish. It was like. It was a keeper, but it wasn't I don't know, maybe 10 pounds or something like that, 10, 12 pounds. And then the captain had, he's on the radio talking to his other boys that are out there. And then they said, sweeping with a lure right now isn't working. Just drift with eels on the end of your line and you'll get some success. So we switched over to that. And sure enough, man, we would, go to the top of the current where we were drifting down. Drift down, catch some fish, go back up, do it again, and we start hammering them hard, I caught like 3 striper bass, and then my lady was she was kind of struggling a little bit, like the seasickness. So, like, I don't know, probably 3/4 of the trip, she was like trying to hold her groceries in her stomach. And then,
she didn't chum the water for you guys?
Yeah, that's
she was doing a great job. And we had used up like all of our, it's because it's one striper bass per person on the boat. So we had 6 bass. We had one more. So we're like, all right, like, and I was like, "Babe, just get on this last one so you catch a fish." Sure enough, she reels in the biggest fish. She reeled in like a 36-pound striper bass.
It's a beast, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, it was beast, dude. It was awesome.
You say that you were drift fishing with eels. Tell me, one of the things that I love about going out fishing in like Ocean City, Maryland, in New York, we just went up to Sodas Point, is I'm always addicted to going to the local bait and tackle shops. So when you guys go get your live eels, do you have a favorite bait and tackle shop up there near Montauk?
I don't know the answer to that because usually when I roll with my boys, whatever, I meet them at like 6 o'clock in the morning. They're already ready to rock and roll.
You got people to take care of that for you.
Peeps.
I know a guy. Yeah. I know a guy. He's got live eels.
I could put you in contact with them. But I would imagine they're all pretty good out there, man.
It sounds good.
But one thing that really surprised. So when we went out, he put our bucket of eels on ice to kind of numb them a
slows
little bit.
them down, yeah.
Makes them lethargic. Yeah.
And then like we would be driving, and like he'd have the eel out there just kind of bouncing off the water. I'm like, are you gonna kill it? He's like, well, the thing is if because once they get in the water, they kind of warm back up and they get moving a lot. And what he told me was, the thing is, if they're moving a lot, they'll twist up your line and clump up your line. He's like, you actually want them out there just kind of like dizzy and just like, just where they're like barely, where they're nice and long.
You should have thumped them with that thumper bat.
Oh.
You need to make a mini thumper bat for eels.
The eel thumper.
Yeah.
That's why I always flick the worm one time real good before I put it on the hook.
Do you really?
I go trout fishing with them. Just give them
Flick
a
your
good
night
flick.
crawler.
He's all nice and dizzy now.
How do you know which end of flick one?
He does.
I flick them both.
Yeah.
I'm not guessing. I don't have to worry about it. That's his problem.
When in doubt, flick them both.
That's awesome.
Eels are nasty. They'll get the slime all over your line, and they'll actually. We fished with them before from the surf. I know Stevie bought a couple just when we went down to Cambridge not long ago, and they can literally tie knots in your line.
Yeah, ball all up. And
That's cool, man. So.
That's right.
And they were using like towels to handle them and stuff like that. Because once they get on you, man, you can't get that film off you.
No.
You need like a mechanics degreaser soap, to get it off.
Yeah, like sand and Dawn liquid soap and like sand together. Some nasty stuff.
Little serum, those things, man.
Oh, I've never been to Montauk, but I've seen it in a lot of my magazines. And the striper fishing up there seems like a lot of guys say it's the place to catch a tank. Like for some reason, the big bruisers show up there. And,
the captain said the biggest fish one he ever caught was like 66 pounds, I think.
That's a tank.
Yeah. I think the record might be like 78 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's close to 80. I think so.
Yeah.
It was a few years ago, anyhow. It's hard to beat that. I mean, it's if you would get a 65-pound plus striper on the line, not only do you know how to fight a fish like that, and you have to have the right tackle for a fish like that.
In a bridge net.
In a bridge net. Thank you, Stevie. That's exactly where I was going. But there's a lot of skill versus luck, and you need both of them to land that fish. Mm-hmm. So you get one. I'm sure there's one over 70 out there somewhere.
And on top of that, I mean, there's a ton of people. Dude, there were so many boats out, man.
Yeah,
so many.
It's
so
crowded.
you'd almost look for somebody like with their rod bent, and you're like, all right, we're in the right place.
Yeah, the guy that looks like he's got his rod hung up on the bottom. That's the guy that's got the big one on.
Yeah. Well, we actually had a lot of boats following us because we were hooking up a lot.
Oh, sure, that's the way it works. Yep.
And then I found out that's called short drifting. Mm-hmm. So they would follow us a little bit. We would start to, drift, and then they would start to drift a little bit in front of us. Like they would stop. They wouldn't go like directly around behind us, like following us. They would be like, all right, they're stopping. Like, all right, let's stop right here.
In our area, we call them Googans. Yeah.
Short drifting son of a gun.
Yeah. You know what you need to do next time people are doing that? You guys need to go to Bass Pro or Cabela's or wherever and get one of them giant striper pillows and just hook it on the end of the line on the opposite side of the boat and throw it out and then fight it so that they watch and then drag this giant pillow up and slam it with the clubber thing in the hand.
Hook a big weight to it.
And totally put it in a choke lock and like power dive on it on the boat a few times.
Then throw it at their boat.
Then throw it at their boat.
Yeah,
I thought you were going somewhere else with it. Like we should get a paintball gun and light up their boat.
Well, that's what I wanted to say, but this is a family podcast.
I'm sure that's probably frowned upon, huh?
yeah.
Well, it's only if you're on the boat getting shot at.
Well, you shouldn't have short drifted.
You shouldn't have short drifted. It's all your fault.
You brought it on yourself.
At least we got a new name now for Stevie's
Well,
spot
short-
jumping.
yeah.
He always does.
Short-
Yeah,
Short drifter.
Stevie short drifted
I'm just
again.
short drifted.
Oh man, he short
Back
drifted
off.
that bass right out from under me earlier this summer.
Dennis, if you hook up, Stevie is in where your shoes are. He's like standing in your shoes.
He'll short drift you all day long.
Right on the same boat.
Yeah. You don't even need to be on a boat for him to short drift you.
So this has been great. Dan, we're bumping up on time here. I hate to cut this off. I do want to. The guys were thinking that we have something for you that want you to at least consider. We need you to develop a finishing move.
Yeah, a new finishing move.
Yep.
Get guys
Oh,
tap
I
out
love
with
this
it.
idea.
Yeah.
And
And we
we-
already got the name for
We
it.
got a name for it.
Go ahead.
Hang on, I got one.
You got. What's your finishing move?
The fish hooks.
Oh, that's deadly.
We like
See what I did there?
we came up with Will's being humble. Will came up with
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
the Bermudian Triangle.
Bermuda's Triangle.
Bermuda's Triangle.
Hang on, if I ever smash someone with a triangle, I'm gonna be like, it was the Bermudez Triangle. You guys should look it up.
There it is,
It's
dude.
gonna be my YouTube page here shortly.
You can
There it
even
is.
like talk smack with it.
Yeah.
How many fighters have disappeared in the Bermudez Triangle?
Yes.
Yeah, and you need
Yes,
to you need to go ahead and club somebody right in the face right before the break. Whenever you come out and touch gloves, sometimes and go, that was the Montauk clubber right there. I just short drifted your ass.
Oh, we're gonna. Joe Rogan's not gonna know what to do with all these new names.
We'll be tweeting him. He just hit him with the Bermudez Triangle, Joe.
Short drifted him.
Get on board, Joe.
Dennis, thanks, man. Your Sonic Campfire stories were epic, dude.
Yeah.
I loved listening to them.
Good stuff.
Dennis, how can people follow you?
I actually made it pretty simple.
Cool.
Because what I did is I made a website called DennisBermudez.com, which has all of my social media on it. MenaceTube, my Twitter handle, which is @MenaceBermudez. My Instagram handle is also @MenaceBermudez. And then I have a fan page on Facebook, Dennis the Menace Bermudez.
Awesome.
Awesome. And what do you do in MenaceTube? You do a bunch of things. Cooking.
I mean, it could be anything from fishing to cooking to, fight predictions.
Hot yoga.
Yeah, that's a fun. That's a fun little follow. If you haven't been on MenaceTube, check it out.
Nice.
I'd like to see some hot yoga.
And I've also been messing around with Twitch a little bit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Twitch.
No. What?
I get out and play some video games, and it's pretty much like I have my own little talk show as I play video games, and I talk about whatever people are writing on the on the chat, so they can ask questions on there, and I do Q&As, or they see how awful I am at video games.
That's awesome. We'll check it out. Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Dennis. I
Thanks,
appreciate it. Every time we get a chance to talk or hang out, it's awesome. So, just thanks again for joining us around the Sonic Campfire tonight.
No problem, guys. Take care.
Yep.
You too.
See you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
And
Keep smashing faces.
let's do a hunt or fishing something or soon. Let me know.
We'll work it out. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Dennis.
Talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Take care.
He's a super dude, Dennis. He's a great storyteller.
He is a great
man.
storyteller. Yeah.
Fits right around a Sonic Campfire.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Except he's making New York sexy again.
Yeah, we're doing the PA thing.
Yeah. But he's doing a great job promoting New York. I didn't realize.
Well, he learned that while he was here in PA.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where
Yeah.
it started.
We'll go to Montauk. We'll show him what sexy is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
At least show them what short drifters.
Short drifters do.
Oh yeah.
Professional.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'll be lucky if I don't come out of there without a Bermudez triangle on me.
I hope that catches on.
It's going to.
I'm pretty sure you'll get that as soon as you whip your deeper ball out.
Will, you got anything new this week?
Yeah, we got some Savage gear.
Yeah.
We just took them to the mouth of the Susquehanna and the bosom of the Susquehanna.
The moonwalk.
And did the moonwalk, and the lunar lander pad.
Nice.
Was it the bosom or the mouth?
Why does that matter?
It was kind of in between.
So the chin.
nape?
It was the chin.
The nape?
It was at the base of the dam at Goldsboro. The Goldsboro Dam runs into Foulmouth, and the rocks there they look prehistoric. It literally looks like you're walking on the moon. And you got to climb up this one, jump to that one, and it's the kind of place you don't want to twist an ankle because you ain't getting back out. But
Right.
the fish are there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
We did. I mean, we didn't catch like a lot of fish, but we caught some quality fish.
Yep,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the bait we were using is as long as the fish,
Yeah.
basically, that was trying to eat them.
Yeah, I guess those Savage gears are every bit of 12 inches long.
Yeah.
Some of them are like 14, and the largemouth are smashing them. And we had some muskies chasing them, and it was a good time. We tried to throw some topwater, but there was so much debris, leaves, and grass on the top. So we decided to go with the slow sinking Savage gear, and it did real well for us.
That's good.
Unlike you, from what I hear.
I don't know what happened with that. One cast.
I bought you a lure and you broke it.
With one cast.
It didn't break. It didn't fall apart. That was the PA state record muskie.
I'm sure.
And he had them on.
Ripped it in half.
Yeah.
I mean, it tore everything but the head off.
Yep.
That's what they do.
I don't know.
Speaking of that, I was down in Ocean City this weekend, and we were fishing on the Tortuga,
That looks
which
like a
is
nice boat.
It is, and Captain Drew took us out, and we were fishing for flounder, and there were some bluefish caught and stuff like that. And a lot of guys were catching crabs this time of year, like they're grabbing the little strips of squid and they're dragging crabs up on the boat.
Yeah.
But the flounder were on fire. Everybody was getting bites, but like flounder do, they grab the minnow that you're dragging and they tear it in half, and they tear it in half. And so I decided to go with the ever true Kitech.
Yeah.
And
Go on.
well, the fishing slowed down. So I had a weird feeling because the Kitech catches everything else. So I throw one on, see if the flounder will bite it. And it didn't really matter what color I had on, white, blue, chartreuse, shad colored. I had, I think, 4, maybe 5 packs of them with me. And they tore every one of them in half.
I bet.
So, but it caught the attention of everybody on the boat. Everybody was literally coming over going, hey, what are you using? Because I see you over here, like, getting bites. And I'm like, oh, they're Kitechs. You want one? Well, that was a bad mistake because I ran out of them that much quicker.
Oh, yeah.
I had the same guys coming over going, hey, my Kitech got ripped in half. So it came to a conclusion at the end of the day to put a trailer hook on, a small trailer hook that just, the second hook. And sure enough, second I did that, the next 2 bites, flounder.
Really?
And just about that time, it was, okay, guys, reel them up. It's time to go in. I was like, oh, just when I learned what to do.
Just figured it out.
Just figured it out. It's time to go in. So as he, started chugging in, of course, I was still dragging the bottom in the back of the boat when nobody was looking.
I bet.
I wonder if Kitech, knows how many people short drift you to get their bait.
Yeah.
Their Kitechs.
So good inside secret, guys. If you're headed to, down to the bay, the Tortuga's a fun party boat to go on. They treat you real good. They have all the good stuff on the board. You don't even need a rod if you're not a proficient fisherman. They got them on board. And but stop at your local bait and tackle shop and get some 4-inch shad-colored Kitechs, and they'll do pretty good for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, Ryan?
Well, we are, 2 weeks in archery season?
2.5.
Yeah. And I've had my son out a few times. It's just been hot.
Yeah.
Really, really hot. Seen deer every time, just nothing close enough for a shot. Although my son was able to finally connect on some small game with his compound bow, which is sort of impressive.
Yeah.
That he would even try. I found out later that he's actually lost 3 arrows trying, but he went ahead and connected. Yeah, when you're that age, you don't have to pay for them, so it's like, why not?
Well, rabbit meat's pretty expensive by the pound anyhow,
By
so
the
I think he made out.
Yeah, he still might be on the winning side of this, but yeah, he got himself a rabbit.
Yeah.
Cool.
With the bow, so got to go through the whole process of we still gut it, and then show him how to skin one. And while they're warm, rabbit's still pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
That's a big
he
squirrel.
he was actually impressed by that. He's seen me skin some deer, and he knows that skinning, I'm using air quotes here, but skinning isn't easy.
It was skinning.
It was skinning, but skin a warm rabbit, it's not too tough.
Pull that bugger right off her.
Yeah. Skin that bugger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Phil,
Hey,
you're itching
speaking
to
of
say something.
bugger,
Uh-huh.
it's Carrie Zilka's birthday.
It
Happy
is.
birthday, Hunt Fish. Oh, wait.
Happy birthday, Carrie Z.
Nice. She's only like, what is she, like 20 now? She old enough to drink?
22, I
22.
think. Yeah.
Old enough to get a tattoo, I think.
I don't know about that yet.
And
but-
have an awesome podcast.
She's been
Yeah.
podcasting since she was 6.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, Carrie. We, yes, like Ryan was just saying, the warm weather with the deer hunting. It's, to put it in perspective for listeners that aren't in Pennsylvania, it is so warm out still that it's getting close to mid-October, and we're still catching bass on topwater.
And we're setting records with our heat, though. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
that, like,
I've never
high
caught
heat.
bass on topwater
In
late
October.
October, the way that they're hitting now. Like they're still smashing. So
I'm usually catching walleye by now. I mean, it's so
this is the
cold.
first night I've
Yeah.
had a hoodie on all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only because it's windy out. It's not even cold.
From a whitetail perspective, the good news behind all of that, it should be an intense rut.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
once-
once that weather does bottom out, it's gonna turn on.
You think it's
going to
take a frost first, or just a good cold snap?
Well, I mean, the rut is the rut. It's going to happen, not the same time every year, but there's a lot of influences. But what's going to happen is the deer movement is just going to increase triple-fold as soon as the cold weather stays, right? And it not necessarily a hard frost, but as soon as you get to that front where you drop, 15, 20 degrees in 24 to 48 hour period,
Yeah.
get in a stand.
And then I'll drop the fishing rod and pick the bow back up. I
tell
did
you-
some shooting this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to make sure that everything was tuned in and right. I did some shooting this week. Bow's good. I'm good. Now it's just a matter of doing exactly what Ryan's struggling with this year: is putting the fishing rod down and picking the bow up.
Yep.
I don't know how you could, it's really hard to do when you have these warm evenings and having like that largemouth that looked like musky size, small musky size, smashing these savage gears.
Yep.
I was in the river tonight before we podcasted, so don't think I've got it figured out, because I don't.
Ryan's addicted as any of us.
But the good news is, for me anyway, it's never really turned on. Like, I love archery, look forward to it every year, and I'm always out there any chance I can get for opening day. But then you get into, they call it the October lull, for whatever reason. I don't really get amped up till you start getting into third, fourth week October. And if that also third, fourth week of October comes with the cold snap at the same time, that's where I'm saying.
Well, that's how
It's gonna turn
I
on.
am. That's
It's
what I
gonna
said
turn
2
on
podcasts ago, that I'm still fishing. I don't feel it yet,
Yeah.
and I will. It's starting to click now with some of the boys that have
You're-
put some meat on the table. It's making me.
But you're like my rut sensor.
Yeah, it's
Once
not.
you
It's
start
not here yet.
feeling it's time to start hunting,
I don't even have an inclination.
that means the
of it
rut's about to kick in.
yet. Yeah, it's not
That's
here
what happened
yet.
last year anyway.
Yeah,
He
it's
starts licking the air.
I tell you
Lip
what,
curling, peeing on his haunches.
the rut.
I've seen. Wait till you. Wait till he walks in with piss on his haunches.
It'll happen. 2, 3 more weeks.
His tarsal glands are all stained
Oh,
up.
it's all stained.
What's going on with catfish?
It's time.
It is. It's like, and I hate to say it, but I'm like, once I put my fishing gear away and my hunting gear goes in my truck, things change. I feel different. You know, the predator side of me comes out. Long hours of no sleep. It is. It's because I don't have just archery. I try to fit in. We're hunting archery. We're hunting pheasants. I'm hunting foxes late at night. And on top of all that, one of my biggest loves is hunting geese. And I have to be able to do all those within 1 week, every week. And it's tough to regulate. So if you follow me here, I'd like to get a tree stand over the lake or the river, so that I can archery hunt out one side and fish out the other. That way, I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone and fulfilling all my needs.
You might have to start slinging more of those, slow rolling savage things because I'm afraid the deer are going to get scared off with the. Bloop, 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 bloop.
Oh, we'll find out. That might attract them.
Spook the deer.
That might attract them.
Yeah, they might be curious to it.
Well, think about it. We could build a giant doe decoy whopper plopper on wheels, so that you can just drag it through the woods, and it comes through the woods.
It just balls the whole time.
Yeah.
I like it.
A doe whopper plopper.
I'd hook a treble hook to it at least.
Not me. I fish them weedless.
No,
I fish them weedless.
Yeah, when a buck tries to mount it, it doesn't leave.
But if spike buck gets on it and you catch it, you'll just leave it on there for the buck to catch onto it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a bluegill and
They get bigger.
yeah,
Bigger
lure, bigger catch.
It's been a great season, guys. I don't know how to put this kind of into words. I've had a lot of great fishing seasons, but this has been the first year I actually have saved some of the pictures and put them in a collection of a little video, and I sent it to Will. And actually looking back at it at a timeline, we had a really amazing fishing season. And
we did.
It is time to... I'm feeling it now. It's time to turn full bore into hunting season. So, like Ryan said, and we both this week have seen a pheasant. So I know the stalking program has started.
Really?
Yep. So
when's that?
Mine was yesterday morning.
Pheasant?
When's pheasant?
Junior season, I believe, comes in this Saturday.
This Saturday,
so
the following
week. It's here.
It's here.
It's here. So.
Can't keep up.
It is upon us.
It goes faster every year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Carrie Z wouldn't know anything about that yet. She's still a teenager.
Like 12.
Yeah.
She's still a teenager. Happy 17th, Carrie Z.
Bless her heart.
Oh, another year she can buy a lottery ticket.
There you go, Carrie Z.
Why don't you go ahead and get yourself something real nice for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go pick something out really nice and we'll buy it for you. Just keep it under $39.95.
Perfect.
Yes. I had a great week, and tonight was fun. I like talking to Dennis.
Yeah.
I was saying on my way up here, I was on the phone, that I don't care if I'd walk up and talk to Donald Trump. I don't care if I'd walk up and talk to, the guy that's in charge of Dubai. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't really get starstruck or fazed by talking to anybody in the world. Mm-hmm. But there's always something slightly odd. There's just some kind of odd feeling that I get when I talk to a guy like Dennis that's not only like a world champion type wrestler, fighter.
Top level in their field.
My whole entire life I've wanted to get into the ripped shape, but I don't have the drive to live in the gym. So I always inside feel that some kind of like, man, this guy lives it. He does it. A lot like we do with hunting. Like there's guys out there that like to go out 1 or 2 days a year and then they look and go, man, I wish I could live it like those guys.
Yeah. Right.
To me, there is that part when I talk to a guy like that is a top level competitor going, that's really awesome. Because I had that drive in me in high school, but never followed up with it. So it's we appreciate you coming on, Dennis, and your intensity and your training and what your passion is awesome. So keep it up, because some of us strive to live in the gym and be champions, and but there's very, very little people that go through with it, and you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I got a ton to talk about, guys. I didn't get to tell you guys my stories from the first week of archery season this year.
Yeah, buddy.
That's right.
And I actually it was the first day of archery, but it was also a first day of firsts for Uncle Buck, though, too. Stevie and I went out early in the morning to start the day off, and
Was Stevie on time?
Stevie was on time.
Whoa.
Did you get one, Steve?
No. No, it was on time.
What? I just wondered if you got one.
No.
No, he was on time to go hunting. Definitely,
was on time
yeah,
for
Johnny
breakfast.
on the spot. Breakfast. Then we got it. What time was it? We got in probably 4:30
Yeah, right around there.
into the blind.
Somewhere like
Stevie's like, yeah, I got one. One breakfast sandwich.
I got a biscuit.
Was Stevie filming for you?
Yeah, he
I
was
was
ready.
ready.
He was ready to go live.
We were gonna go live.
Is he running your social media?
Oh, he was running social media.
We
Good.
were.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, this is no joke. We were set. If a deer came in,
We were
going live, and
What
hit or
was-
miss,
It was.
we were
going.
going to be live.
We were letting it hang out. Then.
Two of our best social media guys out there.
Best in the game.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. That's really
Quite
builds,
the vote of confidence
builds us
there.
up to do more good work. Thanks.
Yeah.
But
No shot opportunity that day.
no,
Stevie didn't jump in, short drift you.
no. My neighbor kind of short drifted me though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Come out and start cutting grass in the 85-degree weather.
We wish.
Worse. I'd rather him cut grass because deer are used to him coming out and cutting grass, just not a table saw going. And nail gun. It tends to get the deer to probably shy away
That is what it is.
from that area. So
He was building his
That's
no
what-
hunting sign.
You weren't here last week. That's why I said I wasn't going out, because there's putting construction right across the street from the property I hunt.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But it kind of worked out for all the better, because at that point I was getting the call from Will and Colin to, hey, we've got one down, get on up here, which is just over the mountain and into the next valley for me. And so at least I got to participate in somebody's successful morning.
Sure.
And after giggling with Stevie about the neighbor
Hunting in a construction zone.
zone, and only thing to be worse than that is if you got the metal grinder out and whatnot. But and then
Do the deer have to travel slower through the construction zone?
They
Yeah.
do. It's
Okay.
or the fines are doubled.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
But
The thrashings are double.
the best part of that opening day was in the evening. Personally, where I overcame an obstacle. I get a nosebleed, folks, when I get on a step stool,
Yeah.
and I got up in a 20-foot ladder
20
stand.
footer.
Yeah,
Good for you, bud.
to hunt by myself. I saw a deer.
Yeah.
I couldn't shoot her. She was behind me. She's more like at my 4 or 5 o'clock.
Did you have your safety harness on?
Yeah.
Attaboy.
It wasn't that was the first question I asked. I don't have a safety harness to get up there. And we'll remove that barrier real quick. But I have one, bud. You're good.
Oh, he was trying to use that as an excuse.
Oh yeah, I was, because I
didn't realize that at the time.
I don't do well. I don't.
You
get
did.
very sketchy. And I even have a hard time fishing off the scaffolding at the power plant catfish.
It's up there.
Because I can see through. I even have trouble walking the walking bridge on the Susquehanna to City Island.
It makes you dizzy.
If I don't look down, I'm fine. And I can look out, I'm fine. But if I look straight down, I'm goner. And the tree stands the same way. But
You did good with it?
I made myself. It was one of those, this is my moment of opportunity. Phil, even if you don't get a deer tonight, you're breaking down barriers.
Conquer the tree stand.
Yeah, I conquered the tree stand.
Good. Good for you.
I will admit, I didn't stand up at all.
It takes time.
Well, I worked it out and thank God I was in a good friend of mine's. Basically, it was like a lazy boy stand.
Yeah,
it was a couch It was a double stand.
Get really comfortable with that before you try to move on to a lock on, because it's a whole other ballgame.
I was pooping rubber nickels already on this one.
What?
And it was as solid down, but
Rubber nickels?
I sometimes
as
poop
opposed
rubber
to like
sometimes
regular nickels.
poop rubber nickels.
yeah,
Thank goodness it wasn't regular nickels.
yeah, it made noise too. But
You still have bucks traveling through your area, though.
well, not that night.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to see about an hour after that doe. It was sundown, last light, magic 15 minutes. Dark, and I start hearing what I think is going to be the biggest buck I've ever seen in the wild, ever.
So I need to stop you just a little bit, a little pregame. So I shot a doe, and I have like I think I said this before, but the worst part about shooting a doe around 5:30 is that luminoc stares at you for the next two and a half hours, and it's the longest 2.5 hours of your life. So I said to Colin takes Phil, escorts Phil up to the stand and gets him settled. I typically would have gone up, but it just Colin's like, I'll do it. Okay, let the boys be boys, and well,
they got this.
They got this. I said to Colin, like, I'm anxious to get out of this ground blind, and I said, does Phil have a light? And he goes, no, you forgot it.
Oh, no.
Forgot it in my jacket. I knew that when I got up there, which was fine. I already knew that. I mean,
She just get down out of the stand before dark
So
and
that
wave your
made-
hand in the air and yell
Well,
for Will.
that made my decision a little bit easier
phone.
to get rolling.
Hang on
Let's
here.
get Phil
With the light.
Like, I know Colin's like, I think, Phil wet every rung on the way up, like he was so scared.
Shaky knees.
Like,
it got really shaky when I had to wrap my arms around that tree and put that hunter safety strap around. That's
I didn't know he's like that.
Yeah.
I had no clue. Anyway, so that was news to me. So I'm like, well, Phil's up there. He hates being up there. Number 2, no light, going to be at dark, so I'm going to get him out. Like, so I texted him like,
hey, bud, we need to look for a doe. Come on down.
yeah,
And what did I send back?
I can't. I forget.
I got to stop shaking before I even try to get down off of this thing. And he's like, what? I'm like, what just occurred 30 seconds before Will sent that text was what I thought was going to be the biggest buck I've ever seen in the wild. I thought truly this could be potentially a B&C 120. I mean, huge for Pennsylvania. I mean, it was making noise.
You heard him coming.
You mean like 190?
Same direction that I heard that doe originate out of. I'm like, holy cow. He's following her. It's big. Because I didn't hear her hardly at all. I mean, it was because the wind was blowing. It would have to get settled down, and I'd barely hear her. Another 5 minutes, or what seemed like 5 minutes.
But you're killing me. What happened?
So,
Get on with it.
I'm looking at the tree line where you would look for a buck's head to come out. All right.
Okay.
So
Everybody's right there with you.
I'm right there.
I'm on the edge of my 20-foot tree stand.
I don't see antlers.
and I don't have a harness on.
But
Come
I
on.
see a black blob below where I'm trying to really focus on.
Yeah.
So then I immediately move towards the movement. And
Like a good hunter, you just, what is that?
no, I was, that's not a buck, but what is that? That's big.
The processing, the wheels start turning.
Like within milliseconds. It seemed like 5 seconds, but
like a glitch in the matrix.
yeah, exactly. It was the matrix glitched, and I knew something. It was a frickin' bear.
Boom.
at least
Is this the first time you've seen a bear in the woods?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got you.
Yes. And I had just gotten done reading from what P.A. Rut Rob, was it Rut Rob or Justin, that said he spent 18 years out hunting, had a first, and that was a bear coming across his tree stand.
First time.
First time for him after 18, 20 years.
It's different when you see your first bear. I'll give you this story.
And he was big, and he didn't scent me. He didn't. He had his nose down, and he was in. And I could have, had it been bear season, we would have a rug here in the studio.
I thought you were going to say you just got done reading that chapter in the Revenant where he was attacked by the bear. Go on.
Well, that's why I was still up there pooping rubber nickels.
Here we go with the rubber nickels again.
Oh man,
Who's spending these things?
But it wasn't necessarily. I wasn't pooping rubber nickels because I was afraid that this bear's going to run up the tree and eat me. But holy cow, I've just witnessed something that I may never witness again sitting in a tree stand.
Yeah.
And for me, I prefer to be eating some nice back straps by now.
But that was awesome.
It was a successful hunt for me. I mean, come on. I have a head full of memories now.
And all these rubber nickels.
And all these rubber nickels.
And a handful of rubber nickels.
I'm glad you got to see a bear, Phil. That's awesome.
Yeah, but holy cow.
Cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tree
He didn't
stand-
hear your knees knocking together?
No, I forgot all about being up at 20. I was kind of glad I was up 20 feet up in the air at that point, even though I knew that SOB could have gotten up there pretty quick.
Are you going to do that again? Will you get up in the tree stand again?
I think I'll be more apt to, yeah. I've done it once.
It was
and
funny.
I didn't die. And I will say this. I dropped my phone, though, out of that tree stand.
There you go.
And it's still alive. I thought I was going to have another R2 moment. It's just a shattered screen. It's still alive.
You're good.
It's better than in the bottom of Lake Mead.
It's still one of my favorite feelings in the world to be up in my climber stand and be watching and enjoying the night, and then just totally wake up after an hour nap and go, I didn't realize in a tree. Like you're disoriented. You don't know where you're at.
And I hate like climbers. I hate lock-ons. Ladder stands, I've been up in them enough that it's I'm fine, you know. But like when you're shaken for most of the evening from being at a height, at whatever height. Last year it was 8 foot off the ground. But anyway, when you're up there and you take a deer, it's 100% worth it. It doesn't matter how scared. It's worth it. And as long as you're safe and you're...
And you remind... I had also a McDodge moment while up in the...
Take your shoes off?
No, I did not. I happened to look out.
Tasted aluminum.
Eye level. And if the sun hadn't have been exactly where it was at, coming through the trees, me looking at that area at the same time, I would have never seen this perfect spider web reflecting with the light behind it and the beauty behind that. And I totally went back to our McDodge episode of sometimes you got to quit looking at the big picture and you look within the flower itself that you're looking at.
Will and I were just talking about this. Little things in archery season that other people don't know exist.
And
honey buns.
And I wouldn't be able to get probably back up in that tree stand the next day and see it again. I mean, it was that fleeting. It was the right time, the right place at the right moment.
I guess the guys haven't actually let you in on this then, but the bear didn't actually not know you were there. He's playing you because he knows exactly where you were. He's just waiting till you're off guard next time. He knew you saw him.
That's why he made that much noise.
You think about that the next time you're in that 20-foot tree stand.
Thanks, Catfish.
He now knows where you are, so he knows to come in behind the stand.
Thanks.
You don't typically hear them.
No. That was odd. That's why I didn't know where he was going with him. He said he heard this big buck coming. I was like, what are we talking about? Because you don't typically hear a black bear in the woods.
Well, I didn't think bear because I've always, even hearing from the Michelle Harms episode and from Sean and Will talking about their experiences, bear hunting last year at this time, they're silent. They maybe the biggest thing out there in the woods, but they don't sound like that squirrel.
I had one that was it was tagged in both ears, so this was a nuisance bear, already been relocated twice, has zero fear of humans, and I did not. And he had to be. I'm not a bear hunter, and there was no, 500-gallon or
55-gallon drum.
55-gallon drum out there to judge its size off of. But based off the size of the tree I was up, and the fact that the ass end of this bear was wider than the tree. When he got to the base of the tree, I didn't see him until he was about 8 foot from the base of the tree. When he got to the base of the tree and put both paws up and started sniffing, I thought, well, I mean, I had my own pile of rubber nickels.
I was just going to say, the only thing to do at that point is to shit some rubber nickels.
I actually said to the bear, I'm going to let you get about 12 foot off the ground before I sink one in your chest.
Yep.
Because if my arrow doesn't kill you, the fall might help.
Yeah.
You falling on him.
Me falling right on top of him. But yeah, like, it's surprising, but I didn't hear the bear at all. He was at the base of the tree before I saw him.
Yeah. We're going to have an entire podcast of tree stand stories. I have quite a few climber stands that have come loose when I've been up there. Stories. So
you know what you can hear from a tree stand when you're hunting?
The rubber nickels hitting the ground?
No, the guy 100 yards down from you eating a honey bun. It sounds like that when he's opening it.
That's me. What's up?
Let's kick this pig.
So they say in the industry. Hey guys, where can they find us?
They can find us at www.rutandriverpursuits.com. Check out the picture of the week. That thing is still kicking out there. Make sure when you're following us on Instagram at R2Pursuits that you hashtag all your pictures 2D taxidermy.
2D taxidermy. Maybe you can get picture of the week.
There it is. Boom.
You can also check us out on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play. Castbox.
Boom, boom.
Get you some.
And we just launched our YouTube channel.
YouTube's up and running.
Rut and River Pursuits Podcast. Guys, thank you so much. It's been great. Phil, thanks for sharing us with that story. It's phenomenal.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
See you
Later.
I grew up coming from money I got buying action figures to the money I got buying lures and stuff like that, So sometimes I'd lose a lure, $5-6 lure on a rock. I'd be like, no! I'm coming in after it.
That's what you do.
Yeah, Catfish calls that Tuesday night.
Yeah.